I heard the glass break before I heard her voice, that sharp crack of crystal against tile, like a warning shot in the middle of dinner. Everyone froze. The chandelier light shimmered across their faces as my mother said, calm as ever, "We only invited you because your sister insisted. Don't make this weird." The forks paused midair. My sister pretended to check her phone. My brother smirked behind his drink. I felt the heat crawl up my neck, but my hand didn't shake. I lifted my wine glass, took one small sip, and smiled like I was in on some private joke. Then I stood up. No one stopped me. No one even looked up. But 2 weeks later, every single one of them would. Before it all fell apart. Hey, my name's Harper. When I was little, there was this cabin out by Lake Briar, the kind of place that smells like wet pine in summers that never end. My granddad used to take me out there at dawn. The water looked like polished silver before the sun cracked it open. He'd hand me a fishing rod, steady and warm, and say, "Hold on tight, kiddo. This place will be yours someday." I believed him. At night, we'd sit by the fire, roasting marshmallows until our fingers stuck together. And he'd tell stories about the lake, how it froze over one year, how he built the porch himself with his bare hands. He always said the cabin was ours. But when he passed, that promise got twisted. My parents folded it into something they called the family property. You know, one of those shared memories things they post about online. Only the title, quietly, legally, still had my name on it. Every summer, they'd plan these family weekends at the cabin without ever asking if I wanted to come. Group chats would light up with plans and grocery lists, and by the time I found out, everything was already booked. Then the pictures started showing up. My brother, shirtless on the dock, holding a fish he didn't catch. My sister on the porch, wrapped in my old blanket. My parents, smiling like they built the whole damn place themselves. Me, I wasn't in a single shot. The invisible one. See, in my family, attention wasn't shared, it was assigned. My brother Ethan was the golden boy, straight A student turned startup prodigy. My sister Maddie, the heart of the family. Mom's favorite, dad's shadow. And me, I was the space between their noise. When I made honor roll, no one showed up to the ceremony. When I got into college, mom used it as a lesson. Be smarter with your money than Harper, she'd tell my cousins. It wasn't loud, it wasn't cruel. It was quieter than that. Like watching your reflection fade from a mirror little by little until you forget what you looked like. The day they forgot to set a plate for me at dinner, I told myself it was fine. The birthday they missed completely, I told myself it was fine. But the night I said, "I'd like to come to the cabin this year," and my mother replied without looking up, "All the rooms are taken, maybe next time." That's when something inside me cracked. I stood there holding a grocery bag of snacks they'd asked me to buy. Nobody looked up. I left it on the counter, turned around, and walked out. That's the day I stopped asking for a place at their table. The breaking point fast forward a few years. I'm in my small apartment downtown, half kitchen, half chaos. I work freelance design gigs, keep my bills lined up in a neat folder, and mind my own business. One night, I'm rinsing a coffee mug when my phone lights up. The family group chat again. Ping after ping after ping. Maddie's planning another trip to the cabin. Ethan's bragging about bringing a new grill. Mom's writing a paragraph about seating charts and bedroom assignments. Not one mention of me. Scrolling through it felt like watching a play I'd been written out of but left in the credits for legal reasons. Then another notification popped up, a bank email. I almost ignored it, but something made me click. A joint account I didn't remember opening. My name listed beside my mother's. At the bottom, automatic payments linked to property tax, Lake Briar Cabin. I froze. They weren't just excluding me, they were using me. My name, my credit, my signature, quietly fueling the place I'd been erased from. The realization didn't hit like anger, it hit like cold water. I just stood there, dripping, staring at the screen while the fridge hummed behind me. Then I smiled. Small, quiet, the kind of smile that says, "All right, you asked for it." The plan. The next morning, I woke before sunrise. The sky was gray, the kind of light that makes everything feel slower. I brewed coffee, sat at the table, and opened my notebook. 3 lines: sell the cabin, close the accounts, call a lawyer. I stared at those words until they felt real. At 7 o'clock sharp, I called Tom, an old friend turned real estate agent. He answered half asleep. "Harper, everything okay?" "Yeah," I said. "I'm selling the cabin." He paused. "The one your parents use?" "The one I own," I corrected. By 8 a.m., I had the deed scanned and emailed. The old paper still smelled faintly of cedar from Granddad's chest. Then came the banking part. I logged in, scrolled through years of hidden transactions, joint payments, auto withdrawals, little debts that weren't mine. Click, close, confirm, click, remove, confirm, click, freeze, confirm. Each tap sounded like a lock snapping shut. Around noon, a text from Maddie popped up. "Mom's planning the trip. You coming or what?" I didn't answer. By the end of the day, 4 accounts were gone. My name was cleared from every document that wasn't mine. That evening, I sent a short email to my parents' estate lawyer. "Hello, I'd like to review all estate documents related to the Briar property. I want to ensure my rights are represented. Regards, Harper." No emotion, no extra words, just precision. Silence has a sound. The following days passed quietly. Tom texted, "Got the deed, listing it off market. You'll get updates soon." I replied, "Thanks." My phone buzzed constantly, missed calls, unread messages, but I didn't touch it. The apartment started to feel lighter, sharper. The silence wasn't empty anymore, it was mine. And then, 2 weeks later, the first offer came in. "Full cash," Tom said over the phone. "They want it fast." "Do it," I said. By noon, the cabin was sold. I didn't post about it, didn't tell anyone. But they found out anyway. The fallout. It started with a text from Maddie. "Did you change the cabin code? Mom's losing it." Then another. "The realtor sign? What the hell, Harper?" Then calls, dozens of them. When I didn't answer, the tone shifted from confusion to panic. Voicemails started stacking up. Mom's voice trembled through the first one. "Harper, this isn't funny. Call me back." The second one, "You had no right. That cabin's for all of us." And the third one, the one that almost cracked me, "Please, you're scaring me. Just talk to me." I didn't. I sat at the kitchen table with my coffee gone cold, watching the notifications pile up like snow. Then Ethan texted, "Mom sent me the bank screenshots. What the hell did you do?" A photo followed. Blurred, tilted, but clear enough. Joint account closed. Property tax failed. Access denied. For once, the silence was theirs. When he showed up, it was early evening when I heard the knock, then the buzzer. I pressed the intercom. It's Dad. Open the door. His voice wasn't angry, it was tired. I buzzed him in. He stepped inside, looked around my small place, the chipped counter, the mismatched chairs, the folder of paperwork stacked neatly on the table. Is it true? He asked. You sold the cabin? Yes. And the accounts? You closed those too? Yes. He ran a hand through his hair. Do you even understand what you've done? I nodded. Completely. He just stood there, deflating, like someone realizing the game was over. Finally, he said, quiet as a sigh, you made your point. I met his eyes. No, Dad, I made my choice. I handed him a sealed envelope, the lawyer's letter. Everything's official, I said. You'll get your copy next week. He didn't shout, didn't plead. He just turned around, opened the door, and left. And the silence that followed, it wasn't heavy anymore. It was clean. The quiet. After. The next morning, sunlight spilled through my curtains, soft and warm. The coffee maker clicked to life. The fridge hummed. For once, everything felt still in the best way. My phone buzzed again. Maddie. Mom wants to apologize. Can we talk? Then another. We didn't know you felt like this. Please answer. I watched the screen until it dimmed. Then I let it go dark. I sat by the window with my mug in both hands, watching the city move. Cars flashing by, dogs barking, someone laughing 2 floors down. For the first time in years, I felt like the world was moving with me, not past me. The folder of documents sat closed on the table. The cabin was gone. The accounts were mine again. The noise was gone. I thought about Granddad, how he'd told me to protect what was mine. Back then, I thought he meant the cabin. Turns out he meant me. Letting go of that place didn't mean losing him. It meant keeping the part of me he believed in, the part that refused to stay invisible. The ending they didn't expect. People think revenge is fire and fury. But the truth? It's quieter than that. It's the sound of a pen scratching over a form, a mouse click that shuts an account, a door closing softly behind someone who used to control the room. I didn't ruin them. I just stopped participating. And when you've lived your whole life being the echo in other people's stories, there's nothing more powerful than silence that belongs to you. I didn't block their numbers. I didn't send a speech. I just stopped signing my name under their chaos. Now, the quiet feels different. It isn't the silence they forced on me, it's the silence I chose. And if you've ever walked away from a table that stopped feeding your soul, you know the sound it makes. It's not loud, it's not angry, it's the soft click of a life finally locking into place.